Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the winners bracket round 3 of the Eternal Tournament Series Season 2 Invitational. We are playing the last winners bracket round before we hit the top 4 in the winners bracket, and then we are going to play elimination matches for the rest of the day, which we should have 4 of those to eliminate down to our top 8 players. So we'll have 4 players in the winners bracket and 4 players in the losers bracket by the end of the day.
Yeah, and let's just go through the bracket and last round's results real quick before we jump into the round. We had on camera, we saw Tough 201 with Shimmering Conbray defeat Ilya K's Felnscar control deck, and that was a doozy, let me say. We had Shadowfire on Felnscar control, 2-1 victory over Red World on Big Combray. We had aReNGee also with Big Combray, 2-0 over Sir Rhino's Feln control. And then finally, Kampfkrot on Burn Queen defeated Captain D 2020 on Combray Aggro.
Yeah, and then for the bottom half of the bracket, we had Loco Pojo beating Shed 2-0 in the Stone Scar Mauler's mirror match that happened. We had Jocked beating Kaneda 2-0, playing Stone Scar midrange over Big Combray. And then we have Jello Moose playing 4-faction control, beating Chronicide, who was on Felnscar control 2-1. And we had Bobbert Joe with Shimmering Combray 2-1 over Grizzly on Stone Scar midrange. And for our feature match, we will actually be seeing Jello Moose playing that 4-faction control list versus Bobbert Joe on the Shimmering Combray. So second match in a row, we're going to get to see the Shimmering Combray list, or at least a list called Shimmering Combray, though I think the lists are different for me.
Yeah, this is a lot more traditional Shimmering Combray list that actually plays like some of the units, some of the cards that boost up your units and such, and less just straight Combray deck.
Yeah, okay. So we should be jumping into the match right here in 1 second. So this is going to be interesting. Who do you think has an advantage here in this matchup?
I'm always inclined to lean towards the Shimmer Pack deck being favored against control, but Jello Moose's deck is just so sweet. It's basically a Dark Combray slashing in Primal for Lightning Storm in the sideboard and Black Sky Harbinger in the main, and it's playing a lot of awesome cards like The Last Word and Touch of the Umbran.
Yeah, so we have Zombie, which is that's what we decided. That's going to be the new word. That's what we're going to call Shadow Combray, since we're pulling the Xenon and the Combray together. We're going to call that Zombie. So we got the Zombie Splash Primal for all 4 of the factions. And we've got a lot of really sweet cards in this list. Like he has, doesn't he have Touch the Umbran in the main board? And he has the Last Word, like you were saying? Like these are, ooh, man. I would love to see some of these cards get played. Like it's not often that we see Last Word.
Yeah, definitely not often.
Detecting network issues? Are we having issues? Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, so Jello needs to draw a little bit more power here. He's getting a kind of a slow start.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna have to pick something up. I'm pretty sure he only had 2 cards in his hand, and yeah, I think we had a disconnection. We had a here coming up. Take him once back in. Okay, and there he is. Now he's back into the game. All right, back on track. And he did hit a he did have a Seek Power in hand, so he is going to be able to at least fetch out a 3rd Sigil to go ahead and drop down here. So not too bad on power right now.
Yeah, it's certainly not horrible. He definitely wants to find a few more to get this Sandstorm Titan down, but he's gonna be able to find the 4th one with the Acolyte here.
Yeah, and he's gonna be able to find the 4th one, and that's gonna be big for him to be able to go ahead and get this Sandstorm Titan down and start punching in. And we're unfortunately seeing like another disconnection out of Jello. He's having a slight network errors, though who is to say that it's not on the client side? Not
unfortunately,
sure.
in friendly challenges like this, you're not on a strict time limit on your turn, so he's able to reconnect here without suffering any penalty.
Yeah, so that's fortunate. We're gonna see. So he's gonna drop this Amber Acolyte and electing to get his 2nd Green Sigil, his 2nd Justice Sigil, so that he can have some more of his cards on. Though I'm not actually sure, but does he have Harsh Rule in the deck? I don't think you play Harsh Rule. You're playing tokens.
Yeah.
Right?
No. So Jello Moose does have Harsh Rule.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course. I'm on the wrong side of this matchup for some reason. See, this is what happens when everybody's playing the same colors.
Yeah, Jellos actually has all the influence requirements he needs now, like double time, double justice, single primal. Well, I guess you do need a third shadow for the last word, but that's a long ways off. Like that's not until 9 power.
Yeah, he's definitely got time to find that, and he's definitely got he's establishing these threats here solidly, and he's got plenty of gas in his hand, and like this is a pretty good spot for Jelamoose right now.
Yeah,
Not bad.
it
That's
always
for
feels
sure.
comforting to have that scheme in hand, so you know you can dig real deep for whatever answer you need.
Yeah, and Bobber Joe here, like he's got a very strong hand. Like he has two Sandstorm Titans in that he can start cracking with, and he's got this like he'll have a permafrost to lock down, but he's unfortunately going to lock down this healer. Not
Yeah,
a high
well,
priority
the
target.
the permafrost wouldn't work on a sandstorm titan later on, anyways. So I think that's a fine target for a permafrost, just so you can push for some damage now.
Yeah, like you can force a little bit of damage here, but like we do see the Seraph in Jellamoose's hand, so yeah, that could cause some problems later. Bobber Joe gonna need to find sigils. Like that's gonna be his biggest thing. He needs to find power.
Yeah, his hand is stacked now. Like two sandstorm titans, a Xenon obelisk, a shimmer pack. We've seen what shimmer pack can do. Some crazy things.
Yeah, Shimmer Pack could be the card that Bobber's really gonna need in this matchup here, and Jellamoose may be forced to go ahead and like find an answer to that, or find like a harsh rule. In the meantime, though, he can definitely start by committing the Sandstorm Titan to board and kind of locking it up a little bit.
Yeah, the sandstorm titan will create a board stall, give him time to scheme and be able to find that harsh rule. And he also has a vanquish for Bobber Joe's first sandstorm titan here, so he'll be able to push some damage even if he wants.
Yeah, he's got a Vanquish for the first Sandstorm Titan, and he's actually got the Annihilate for the second, so he's pretty well prepared against these Titans right now. Mousing over, look for a second like he was going to vanquish his own Titan. Definitely a mistake you don't want to make.
Swings at his Titan first. If Bobber Joe blocks, then gonna
Wait,
annihilate probably. Like trying to bait a double block here.
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah, so he goes ahead and just like you were saying, goes ahead and tries to bait it out with Annihilate. Unfortunately, that's like the worst Annihilate bait that you wanted. Like you didn't want just the 1/1. He was hoping to get like the 3/3 or the 3/4. Like maybe he blocked with the 3/3 and the 5/6, but in that case, it didn't make any sense for Bobber Joe to block it any other way.
Yeah, well, I think Bobber Joe's best options were probably no blocks or block with all 4 units.
Yeah, probably. He ends up losing the 1/1, which is more than a little incidental later on when those shimmer packs come down and turn those 1/1s into 4/4s. And he does have the obelisk, so it's unfortunate, but it's not too backbreaking yet. What is backbreaking is this vanquish that Jelamoose is like. If he's going to be able to fire this off and clear the other Sandstorm Titan, this is going to clear the way for the Black Sky Harp for a little bit. The Desert Marshal will be able to answer that, but we got a lot of threats jumping back and forth. Wait, no, what am I saying? Black Sky Harp is going to get locked down by his own Sandstorm Titan. This is the disadvantage of playing Sandstorm Titan in a deck where you have flyers.
Yeah, Joe Lewis does get to kill Bobber Joe's Sandstorm Titan though. Like Bobber Joe is just very eager to block. It seems like, and he acknowledges that he made a mistake with that block. You can afford to take 5 when you're still at full health.
Yeah, he definitely should be a little more lenient with his health. That's an interesting thing to like point out is that like Bobber Joe's protecting his life total a lot, but he really doesn't need to. Like he's at 25. He's in no threat of dying in a single turn or even 2 turns.
Yeah, so that obelisk, funnily enough, pushes Bobber Joe's Seraph into range of Vanquish. So I think Joe Lewis is going to vanquish that now before Bobber Joe gets a chance to start creating units with it.
Yeah,
That's the downside of Xenon Obelisk.
yeah. The rare time we actually see one of those downsides to Xenon Obelisk come out, where it actually does push one of your valuable units like Seraph into that range of a Vanquish. So that's unfortunate. And we do see the Black Sky Harp get taken down here, but we see 5 damage getting pushed to Bobbert, and we see him dropping the second Sandstorm Titan, and he's putting it on Bobbert to have an answer, and he does have the Shimmer Pack to turn him at least into Shimmer Packs.
Yeah, like that looked like a bad trade for Jelen. It's like trading a Black Sky Harbinger for a 1/3, but that Harbinger wasn't doing anything as long as it was grounded by the Titans, and it reduced the amount of units Bobbert Joe had in play to turn into 6/6 Shimmer Packs.
Yeah, and I have to imagine if you're Jellybeast here, you double lock this, right? Yeah, just take it off the board.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Especially with that Seraph in hand, so you know that if you can extend the game and draw more power, that you'll be able to take over with endless stream of Seraph units.
Yeah, definitely. And there we go ahead and see a Vanquish picked up off the top. That clears the other 6/6. We see the Seraph hit the board, ready to go next turn.
Well, so I was gonna say that this Desert Marshal, unfortunately, is gonna lock down the Seraph. But with the addition of another Xenon Obelisk, it not only silences the Seraph, but it also is the biggest threat on the board. It's the 6/5 Desert Marshal
Yeah, it's
to beat up a Shimmer Pack.
yeah, it's not very often you see Desert Marshal, the biggest unit on the board, when we have the 8 cost Shimmer Pack and Seraph himself, or herself rather.
Wow, this is a extremely aggressive attack by Bobber Joe. With nothing but power in hand, he attacks with his Desert Marshal that was holding back 2 units from Jelamoose. Like, even if Jelamoose doesn't have the Scorpion Wasp there, Bobber Joe is still losing that race handily.
I mean, even if he doesn't have the Scorpion Wasp there, Jelamoose can just double block, correct? Like,
Yeah,
there's
it
no
just
reason why the 6/5 couldn't have just been blocked by both units, and then like he still got to keep one.
yeah, very true. That attack, I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure what he was trying to do.
Oh, and we see we see the next Shimmer Pack. All right, oh, one
Just
after the
go
other,
into it.
and yeah, I mean, you can you even really push with this 8/8 though? Like, oh man, you're so close to dead.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
yeah,
gonna go down to 1 here.
yeah, he's gonna go down to 1. He takes 7. The Black Sky Harp eats another health, and then you have to find an answer for this.
Yeah.
Like, this has to be answered next turn.
So Bobber Joe changing Jello Moose's Sandstorm Titan into a 4/4 instead of a 5/6 actually backfires here because now that Black Sky Harbinger can fly over for the game.
Yeah, that's very true. If Jelamus actually had not converted the Sandstorm Titan into a Shimmer Pack, it would have actually locked down the Black Sky Harbinger and would have provided him, at least maybe a chance to see it back in. But really, that swing was kind of questionable there at the end. Like, swinging the 8/8 in at all, I don't think was the right decision. I think you have to be on defense at that point. Like, you're at 9 health.
Yeah, well, I think what Bobber Joe is thinking is that in the late game, Jellamoose's deck has so many powerful top decks. Like, it has the last word, it has Azindel's Gift, it has its own Seraphs and such things, that Bobber Joe just felt like he needed to be aggressive to have a chance to win the game. So he took like the low percentage line over the no percentage line.
Well, see, but I actually don't quite agree though. Like, I think that like the Shimmering Combry list, if you like look at what he's playing, like he has two obelisks in play. Like, he Toxic Scouting Party. Like, the game's completely switched in favor now. Like, he's got 4 5/5 tokens, and
That's
it kind of
true, yeah.
actually flips around on the other side. So I think there was like some line there, but he really had to keep that unit up.
Yeah,
Let's
so
look at his
but
sideboard
perhaps he
though.
was erroneously assuming he had to be the beatdown when actually just hanging back favored him.
Yeah, I really think it did there. It at least gave him a better out, I think, than him just playing the beatdown. Like, you had to know that 7 damage was coming through, and that puts you at 2. And then next turn you're dead to anything. I don't know. Either way, Bobber Joe. Let's take a look at this Shimmering Combry sideboard. I see 3 decays, pretty common, and the Shimmering Combry, or just really anything playing time. Everybody loves decay as a sideboard card. We have 4 Combry Healers, 2 Stand Togethers, 4 Storm Lynxes, a Vanquish, and a Twin Brood Sauropod.
Yeah, very anti-aggro sideboard. Maybe bring in the Vanquish and the Sauropod and the Stand Together here.
Yeah, I imagine the Sauropods coming in. Stand Together's nice.
Bobber Joe also has Crystallize in his main deck, so if we get a big board stall here, he has 2 cards that just win him the game instantly if drawn.
That is true. He does have the opportunity to like close a game out from a seemingly board locked position. Like, he can at any point just drop a big Crystallize and push through. And we've seen that a lot of with Shimmer Pack players before, just having a unit or a board full of units that are obelisked up but don't have the Shimmer Pack behind them, and then you find the Crystallize to get you out of the board stall.
Yeah, and meanwhile, in Jellamoose's sideboard, as you might imagine, a 4-faction deck has a lot of good options in its sideboard. He's got Lightning Storms if he wants to play the cleanup small tokens like from Scouting Party game. He's got Decays to kill Xenon Obelisk. He's got, probably not for this matchup, but Steward of the Past to shut down the Void. The Great Parliament might be good here to fly over the grounded tokens.
Yeah, also seeing like another Azindel's Gift in there for some control hate. He's got Suffocates for some aggro hate in the early part. And yeah, actually, Suffocate's not. I don't think you're bringing it in for this matchup, but Suffocate actually is an overall good card. Like, it's not just an aggro killer. Like, there are so many decks that we classify as mid range that are playing it. Like, a great example is Stone Scar. Like Stone Scar actually has one of the highest counts of suffocate targets. Like there are just a number of units and really high priority targets too, like Steward of the Past, Champion of Chaos unbuffed, the Lord, of course, Statuary Maiden. Thank you. Like I'm struggling over here, but like the most quintessential part of that deck, and even the Black Sky Hunters, like they all get cleaned up by Suffocate.
There's lots of good targets for it.
Yeah, Suffocate's, for being conditional removal, Suffocate's actually, in my opinion, one of the better conditional removals currently, like, in the format for what we're seeing a lot of recently. Like, it does just hit so many valuable targets.
Yeah, also costing 1 is a underrated ability. You can just squeak it in on almost any turn.
Yeah. We will be getting into game 2 here, I believe, right now. Yeah, and we're going to see Jello up 1-0 over Bobbert Joe.
Yep, and Jello has the play here. So his hand is kind of awkward, really slow, find the way. Although he mulligans into an even worse power situation.
Yeah, Bobbert's hand not looking too good over there on the other side. Like, Jello moves, if he can find his power requirements, can actually start to get like a nice lead on this game. Like, Bobbert Joe really just doesn't have any gas. Like, he's got to stand together, he's got Find the Way, he's got Vanquish, and he's got Shimmer Pack, but no units in between.
Yeah, so awkwardly, Bobbert Joe has a ton of cards he can play, but none of them really do anything. And Jello Moose has a ton of cards he can't play, but they all do stuff.
Yeah, and we're seeing just like rapid turns coming out here of just like draw go. Like neither player really committing anything to board, both just building up their land base.
Yeah, so Jello Moose is able to scheme for a time source there, so now he'll be able to get down that Combre Healer Seraph and maybe start putting out a little pressure.
Yeah,
Or even a Steward of the Past. So it looks like he did bring in some more units to hold the ground.
yeah, and like I really like the Steward of the Past. Like Steward of the Past is just such a good unit. Like 4 power, 3/5 with deadly. Like that's very solid.
Yeah, it's really the Sandstorm Titan of Shadow, just like a powerful 4-drop in every matchup with a lot of abilities.
Something we haven't noted either is like Jello Moose is holding both these Lightning Storms, and I think these cards are going to be very important in this matchup if he can find his primal power to turn them on. Like he needs the primal influence to be able to get them online. But if he can get them online, he can actually clean up these tokens and make this Shimmer Pack that's coming down basically do nothing.
Yeah, so Bobbert Joe, interestingly, and very smartly, I might add, doesn't play Sandstorm Titan, even though he could have last turn. So now he can play Sandstorm Titan while holding up Stand together.
Yeah, and that's true. Like he is trying to hold the stand together to make sure that the units don't get cleared off the board, which is like it's gonna help him a lot here if he can maintain it when we finally do see Jello Moose pick up this primal power.
Oh wow, this is extremely aggressive. He attacks and then double Stand togethers here, just to kill that Seraph. I don't know if I agree with using 2 of those there. I think that the attack was a mistake and he realized it and he didn't want to look silly. I think at that point you have to just admit that you made a mistake, let your 2/1 die, and play the Sandstorm Titan.
Yeah, that was really interesting there. I'm interested to see how this plays out from this point. Like the sauropods are a big pickup. Like that's going to help considerably. But Bobbert Joe is dying on the way back, and like the sauropod will hold the ground nicely, but the it's just going to get vanquished, and then he's still taking 5.
Yeah, and Jello Moose is playing a Scorpion Wasp as an attacker here. Like that's how far ahead he feels. Like he just wants to close out the game here real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with this. Like, it forces the 4/3 to hang back next turn, and it puts him on what essentially looks like a 1-turn clock.
Yeah, and Bobbert Joe continuing with this relentless aggression despite being at only 6 health.
Yeah, still trying to push it in, and we see 2 solid units come out to hold the ground, but Jello Moose is really just going to have to find like 1 solid removal spell, and he might just be able to snake this game out.
Yeah, he's holding a ton of sweepers and no more units though. So this Sauropod Titan turn from Bobbert Joe here actually is going to stabilize the board.
Yeah, we'll stabilize the board for now. Jello Moose is going to need to pick up. He's going to need to pick up an answer that can actually like handle this board. Like he's unfortunately this is the downside to conditional removal, such as the Lightning Storms and Suffocates, is that sometimes you do just have these board states where it's just completely dead.
Yeah, even if he could cast the lightning storm, it wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, Jellymousse trying to represent a 6-turn clock with the Scorpion Wasp by itself, but I don't think Bobber Joe's going to be having any of that. Like he can just take care of this at any point.
Bobber Joe just plays an 8-power 4/4 here. It doesn't turn anything into a Shimmer Pack.
Yeah, that's actually really big though. You know, if he had turned his 4/3 with Aegis into a 4/4 just to make it like the 1 stat point bigger, this Harsh Rule could have just cleaned up the whole board and basically been a reset for Jellymousse and allowed him to draw to get back into this game.
Yeah, I actually think Jellymousse can't attack here anymore. He needs to leave the Scorpion Wasp back. He's losing the race, Wasp versus Sandstorm Titan.
Well, I think he's going to fire off both and just have to accept that he's Harsh Ruling the board. Like, I don't think holding back you can win either if you don't just Harsh Rule. Because next turn, like the 5/4 and the 4/4 are both going to attack you, and you can only block one with the Wasp, and the other survives, and the 4/3 will continue to beat.
Yeah, this has been a very strange game. Like Jellymousse went from looking super far ahead to kind of having a bunch of situational removal that doesn't do anything,
Yeah.
and now I mean, I guess he's alive for one more turn. He can double Lightning Storm, but
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not to be understated that like Jellymousse not being able to have a Primal Sigil for most of the game, or a Primal Source anyway, to provide that influence, not being able to cast those Lightning Storms was huge in this game. Like, if he could have fired those off on turn 3 or 4 when the 2/1s were down and unprotected by Stand Together, we'd probably be seeing a whole different game now. It's entirely possible Jellymousse would have just already closed out and finished.
yeah. So Jellymousse couldn't draw a blocker here because Iron Thorn could ultimate and kill it, but he does draw an Annihilate. So this game is gonna continue.
Yeah, we will see this game continue on. We're going to have the Annihilate for this, but Seraph's going to come out and get 1 activation before it gets suffocated. So this is going to come down to what the Seraph unit is.
Yeah, if it has more than 0 power.
Yeah, 2/4. That's not
that's just
one,
enough.
but it's just enough.
Voice of the speaker for the win.
Sometimes
Yeah,
the 2/4 gets the job done.
I really don't like suffocating Jellymousse's deck here. Like, yeah, it kills Seraph, but not if there's a single obelisk in play. And any other targets are really not the sort of targets you want to be suffocating. Not the sort of targets you want to be spending removal spells on.
Yeah, remember how I was talking about like how good Suffocate is against Stonescar midrange? Against Shimmering Combry, not nearly as much. Like you said, like the Suffocate finds more or less blank targets. Like, yeah, you hit basically everything in their deck, but like, who's excited about suffocating a Talir's Favor, like the O2? Or who's excited about suffocating the Amber Acolyte? Like, yeah, you pull it off the board, but it's not what you're looking for. And while it does hit Seraph, as you also said, with the Xenon Obelisks and even the Stand Togethers, it's very easy to get it just out of range entirely and just shut the card off.
If you stand together in response to a suffocate on a Seraph, it not only protects it, but it gets to keep the Aegis because the spell just fizzles due to not having a target with 3 or less strength.
Yeah, and we jump back into game 3 here. And starting hands, Bobber Joe notably lacking his Justice influence.
Oh, no, he found it right away. And Jellymousse has a hand with Find the Way, so the hand is great.
Yeah, he's got the Find the Way so he can smooth out, and he can get that Primal Sigil this time, so he's not lacking in case he hits Lightning Storms. Meanwhile, Bobber Joe just kind of building a nice, like, steady hand here. He's got nice answers here. Like, he's got the Amber Acolyte and the Titan to put some units down, and then he's also got the Crystallize for those, like, late-game board stalls we saw both players get into last time.
Yeah, so Bobber Joe has a Decay in his hand right now. What do you think he's trying to hit with that Decay?
Man, that's a really tough one. Like, I'm not sure Jellymousse has too much he's playing that you're really going to find with that Decay. Like, is Jellymousse playing Permafrost? Like, is he playing Permafrost in the main?
No, he's just playing Azendel's Gift, Sword of the Sky King, and the Last Word for relics.
Yeah, maybe I guess it's teched in to basically answer his win cons. Like, you consider like Sword of the Sky King and the Last Word to be like win conditions, and he's got the Decay here for it. So maybe that's what he's doing. Like, it definitely is a way to hold down in the late game.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is fine in the late game, but there is a cost to having that card stuck in your hand until the late game. And Jellymousse is gearing up for the Harsh Rule here. Just chump blocking.
Yeah, this is It's really interesting, and we see Jello Moose just going ahead and firing off this harsh rule, cleaning up the board nicely,
Yeah, and Bauer Joe has
and
the
kind of
perfect answer from Shimmer Pack deck, the Bane of Control everywhere, Scouting Party. So Jello Moose is going to have to like suffocate Seraph. Or no, he goes scheming for a Lightning Storm and doesn't hit.
yeah, go scheming to try and find something to clean these tokens up with, and like he's got the harsh rule for next turn, but unfortunately next turn is going to be one turn too late.
Yeah, so this Scouting Party is going to get 2 small removal spells out of Jello Moose's hand and draw Bauer Joe 2 cards. Like, it's just such a powerful card against control decks.
Yeah, this is like one of the biggest like card swings we're going to see probably all game. Like even though Jello Moose had just cleaned up 3 units with harsh rule, like Jello Moose essentially just produced. Well, what would you consider 2 tokens, 2 cards, and getting 2 cards out of your opponent? Five cards of advantage.
Something like that, at least.
Yeah, it's definitely making this harder than it needs to be anyway. But Jello Moose does have like these seraphs. He's got the harsh rule. Like he's certainly not out of this.
Yeah, so Bauer Joe like has Desert Marshals for all these Seraphs, but it still leaves a 3/4 body behind that he can't attack through. Like he's just stuck with all these decays in hand and nothing to do with them.
Yeah, we see the Sandstorm Titan coming down though for Bobber Joe, and fortunately Jello Moose has this annihilate.
Yeah, he might want a harsh rule instead and save the annihilate.
Yeah, probably going to here. I'm assuming that's why he's go ahead swing Seraph in.
Yeah,
Block choice.
although actually now annihilate basically harsh rules. The whole board is cleared up if he just plays the annihilate.
Yeah, that is true. I think Bobber Joe was trying to suicide his board more or less to make the harsh rule really unappealing. But now the Sandstorm Titan does just die to the annihilate, so this ended up working out pretty well for him.
I guess he was playing around a couple of lightning storms from Jello Moose there by not blocking the Seraph with his Sandstorm Titan.
Yeah, and this is interesting.
They're just in a standoff here, but now Jello Moose is gonna yoink that Titan with Touch of the Umbran.
Yeah, gonna go ahead and pull this Titan over to his side, and then
Marshall returns it, I think. Oh, or he just uses one of those dead decays.
Yeah. So yeah, he goes ahead and pulls his threat back. That's what I was curious about. Is I was wondering, like, Touch the Umbran is an attachment, so yeah, it does actually die to that decay.
Yeah, and I believe that Desert Marshal also silences the attachment and returns it to Bauer Joe's control.
Oh, does it? Oh, well, that's really nice as well. Interesting. That's a good interaction to know about.
So Jello Moose's second Seraph is going to get hit by Bauer Joe's second Desert Marshal here.
Yeah, and it's pretty much just like anytime Jello Moose plays something, it immediately seems to get answered by Bobber Joe, which is more what you would think like the control deck is doing, right? Like Jello Moose playing 4-faction control, you would assume it's like more the other way around. And like he has been answering Bobber Joe's threats effectively, but Bobber Joe's still seeming to, like be in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, well, against Shimmer Pack, you kind of need to be aggressive, even if you're a control deck, just because you can't afford to vanquish every Desert Marshal they play all game. Like they just have too many large units that are too cheap once they get an obelisk or 2 down.
Yeah, it's very true. Like you do have to be aggressive. It's just it's interesting that like Bobber Joe is like he's still up in card advantage. Like he's still got a decay and a crystallize, and he's got the Shimmer Pack to just drop if he wants and say, okay, I have a 2-turn clock.
8 power 4/4 again.
Yeah.
He won the last game he did that.
Yeah, exactly. And we see the Sandstorm Titan coming down. Sandstorm Titan actually a pretty big deal here because it can't be crystallized, though due to the obelisk, like this thing will the 6/6 will just push it around.
Yeah, it's not often you see Sandstorm Titan being outsized, but Xenon Obelisk is a silly card. So Jello Moose is just gonna have to chump block here.
Yeah, gonna have to jump in that hope whatever card he pulls is good enough, but I don't know what he would be able to pull up here that's gonna be able to answer the Desert Marshal too. So he has to fire off the harsh rule, and then Desert Marshal is gonna get ambushed into turn. So that will be game.
Yeah, Bobber Joe is gonna come back, win 2 games in a row, and take this match.
Yeah, so come back with the
Joe is into the top 8 on the winners bracket side. So we will see him tomorrow in a very good position to perhaps win the ETS Invitational for season 2.
Yeah, it's gonna be